What's up, everybody? How's it going? I just got done catching up on a little YouTube. I'd like to watch some of the videos that get put out during the week, and I saw, shout out to Legacy, I saw his video on Sentry. Appreciate the shout out he gave me, so that was really nice of him. But he was doing a little bit of news about the buff. It can definitely be considered a buff. This seems a little more than a unique synergy. This synergy is so good that it changes the character on like a fundamental level. So this really makes Sentry amazing. So I have as some people probably know if you watch my more videos, a 565 SIG 200 Sentry. He is my favorite character in the game, probably besides Quake. And he's getting up there. I mean, I can't get my hands on a Quake to save my life, so out of sight, out of mind, you know? So he's becoming my favorite. I just love him so much, and even with all the hype that I have around Aegon and his animations, I still think I'm going to prefer Sentry at the end of the day. We'll see, though. We'll see. I like both of them a lot, right? So one of the things I really like about him, as far as what he does, for me, is the way reality warps work is that they increase his base attack on these specials or heavy attacks by a fixed amount per reality warp, and it's a lot. I mean, it's a big number, right? It's like 75% of his attack. So times by 5, it's a huge number. Now, one of the downsides about Sentry, one of the reasons now that he doesn't do a lot of damage is his base stats. His attack it's okay, actually. It's not terrible. His crit rate and damage are average and below average. As in, his crit rate is actually below average. 18% is low. This is kind of what they give to champions like the champion. You know, they hit hard, but they don't want them to crit so often. That's why they do this. The crit damage is nothing special. 180 is pretty average. So why do champions hit hard in general? Well, it's because those stats are modified, or something like prowess. Right now, Sentry doesn't work on prowess, doesn't work on special attack damage. He works on attack. His special attack damage doesn't get increased by anything except for the mastery recoil. So champions like Stark Spidey, why does Stark Spidey hit so hard? On top of his base stats that are super high, his poise modifies his attack and his crit rating, and that makes him crit more often, and critical hits in general ignore physical resistance. They do more damage. They get the multiplier for the crit damage, and Stark Spidey has amazing base stats. A friend of mine, Moist VL from back in the day when we did the original Piloting Alliance podcast, he was hitting me up about he said he was doing some numbers, and he thought that Sentry was going with these new synergies is going to hit pretty hard, similar to Stark Spidey. And I was like, wow, that's amazing, man. That's so cool. I'm gonna take a look for myself and see what I can come up with. So I am going to a spreadsheet. I'm going to this spreadsheet, but I distilled this into charts that are a little bit easier to talk about. So I picked a champion from each class that had at least some sort of modification to their stats via synergies or abilities. Stark Spidey for the tech class, Blade for the skill class. There are potentially better options like Kingpin because he modifies his attack. Hyperion for the Cosmic class. I know people are going to say, what about Corvus Glaive? I thought it was just more relevant because Corvus is just so unique with that guaranteed critical hits. Magic from the Mystic class. Domino from the Mutant class, considered Sabretooth. And Sentry because, you know, I want to talk about Sentry. So if you look across the board, let's go to their stats, their base stats. These are their base stats. Now, you look across the board, Blade's got the highest base attack. Stark Spidey's pretty up there. Domino's got some high base attack. Sentry's not the lowest on there. Magic and Hyperion both have lower base attacks. Base crit rate, Stark Spidey clearly the highest. Domino, this kind of goes with what you'd think, right? Like Blade has a pretty high crit rate, but it's not crazy. Magic, same thing with her. Hyperion, we know, has a low crit rate, and look, Sentry seems to be right down there with him. Now you can see with crit damage, Stark Spidey has the highest by a long shot, and that's why you see those health bars drop so fast. Like his crit damage is so high, it's like 270%, you know, as opposed to 180 from a Sentry. Like that's way more damage, right? So the other champions seem to be about in line. Like I said, Sentry's about average. It looks like Magic and Domino have a tiny bit of edge there, and Hyperion actually loses out again. But all of these champions can modify their stats based on their abilities and synergies. So Stark Spidey has Poise, Blade gets Danger Sense, Hyperion gets Furies, Magic has a synergy with Morningstar that gives her increased crit rate while Limbo is active. Domino modifies her stats based on being lucky or not. Sentry modifies his stats with Reality Warps and the new synergy with Aegon and the Champion. So I think I might be missing. If there's Domino has a lot of synergies, there might be something I'm missing with her, and I know she can put out ridiculous amounts of damage, and I may be missing a synergy with Magic. But I think for the most part, I got this. I got this right. It's mostly just it's relative anyway. It's relative, and the one that I'm sure about is Stark Spidey, right? So that's the one I'm 100% sure of, and also the Blade one. So I forgot one thing with Blade though about the increased potency of Danger Sense. So I'll just asterisk on this chart right now. So these are their max stats. Now, why is Sentry so high up there? This is because Sentry's base attack is going to be increased by 12% per reality warp, so that's 60%, right, at 5 reality warps. Plus, when are you doing damage with Sentry? You're doing damage on his specials, which have increased attack rating, and his heavy attacks. That's where 90% of the damage in a fight comes from, especially that heavy zone. So his base attack gets increased by a lot, and it's all the way up over 12,000, and Stark Spidey is the only one that comes close at 7,750. Now, Hyperion, I said an average of 4 Furies. I should have maybe... I think Hyperion can get up there as well. Hyperion can probably get over 10,000 with like 6 or 7 Furies if you really beef this guy up. But it's just... guys, this is just a... It's just a mental exercise, right? I'm trying. I'm getting on the Sentry train, right? So I'm doing a little bit of biased right here. I don't have the time to sit down and really go through like hundreds of fight scenarios. But anyway, Magic doesn't increase her attack. Domino does a little bit, but not by a ton. You can see the crit rate max. Stark Spidey clearly wins. He goes his crit rate max goes up to like 6470 according to the chart. Nobody else even comes close. Magic does increase hers a little bit, and so does Domino based on being lucky, or just I think Domino gets a base crit rating enhancement overall. Oh, and these crit max are also including Masteries, Cruelty, and Precision, right? Sentry is going to get 2,500 crit rating. That's a lot. Let's go back here. Look at the first chart. Now, and we're looking at base crit, so just look at this. Look at this right here, and then we're going over to the max chart. The base, max, base, max, base, max. Look at how high this is. Now imagine, Stark Spidey users, picture how many times your Stark Spidey is critting with about 4 to 5 poise charges. That's what this is going to feel like with Sentry. That's a lot, guys. It's a lot. The crit rate is going to be through the roof. Okay, so crit damage max. Now Sentry is the winner of this. Obviously, we have Corvus Glaive with 12,000 crit rate damage, or crit damage max. He'd be flying off the charts, but Corvus Glaive is definitely an anomaly, and I don't really... Excuse me. I don't really... sore neck. I don't really want to talk about him during this video too much. So I'm gonna flip between these graphs again. Crit damage, Sentry is second lowest in the pack. Now he's the highest. Second lowest, tied with Blade. Now he's the highest one. Sentry is going to hit like a truck, guys. He is going to do he's going to be killing bosses about as quick as Stark Spidey, I think. That's what I think. Maybe a little slower just due to the playstyle. Stark Spidey's playstyle is inherently quick and fast because he doesn't wait for a lot. He has a stun. Obviously, that doesn't work on the boss, but he has damage over time. He's really easy to intercept with, and at least in my opinion, easier than a lot of champions. And he has this weird thing where I know you can do it with most champions, but I have a very easy time of like doing the light intercept with Stark Spidey against the wall. So it's just like you're constantly hitting them with Stark Spidey, it feels like. And Sentry, a lot of times you're baiting heavies out, and so it's a little slower, but he's definitely safer. So I'm thinking that I think that at least Lagacy's analysis in his video is dead on the money. I think Sentry's going to be a boss killer. I think I'm going to get shots at the boss with my Sentry. This is it going to be this season? We might be through this season, but at least in season 6, I think I might be one of our boss killers, and it's because I took this leap of faith and ranked up Sentry. No, it wasn't really a leap of faith. I like him as he is. I'm perfectly happy with the champion as he is. I'm just over the moon. Super excited about the new synergy, and I'm really happy because before I even knew that the synergy existed, I pegged Aegon as aesthetically right there with Sentry. Somebody I wanted on my roster for purely aesthetics. I'm gonna make him probably my next 565 if I can. It depends on whether I need a third 565 to grind him out in the arena, so it might take a while to get him up there if that's the case. But golly. These numbers. Let's just flip through this real quick again. So he's towards the lower end of all three of these, and now he's towards the highest of all three of them. Look at the green bars. Just look at the green bars. I mean, obviously look at the blue bars too. This is why Stark Spidey's such a good champion. That's why he's such an amazing champion. And it's also, look at the red bars. This is why Blade doesn't have as much staying power as maybe we originally thought. Blade is his staying power. The reason he's going to be relevant in this game, I think, in times to come, is going to be the ability accuracy reduction and the regen. So the danger sense is great. It's an amazing, and also just so you guys know, this red bar should be probably over 5,000 there. With Blade because of the Stark Spidey synergy that I forgot to include with Danger Sense. Blade's regen is crazy. Probably one of the best regen characters in the game. So that's what's going to keep him relevant, and he's not going anywhere as one of the best champions in the game. No way. But it's just interesting. I've never plotted stats like this before. I think I should do it more often. And it also shows you that the Mystic class is missing champions that they've always been known as like the regen utility class, but they're missing champions that do tons of damage by modifying their stats, which is interesting because I couldn't find, like, out of all the Mystic champions, I thought, oh, maybe Iron Fist because he's got that high crit rate, but he doesn't modify it. I think he does get a precision buff, but Magic seemed the most relevant. But Mystics they're unique, you know, they get Mystic Dispersion, they get more power. Anyway, I've been rambling, guys. I think I'm just so excited about the buff, the clear buff. You can see the green just dominates in the second chart. So, guys, I'll grind out the 3-star at the first arena for sure, and hopefully it has the synergy. If it doesn't, we will have to wait until we can get a 4-star or a 5-star Aegon. And I'll do everything I can to do it. And we will take Sentry into Labyrinth or boss killing or Alliance War, whatever. Anything we can to make it work. And we'll see what we can do. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. And thanks again, Legacy.